Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with Wrestling with Regret. And tonight we got another top 8. It's the best of wrestling in 2022. So, yeah. We're pretty much taking out the best of last year, considering we already did the worst, so might as well go for the best. So, let's see what the highlights of last year in wrestling. So be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go. Oh, yeah, just see this on Twitter. Alright, PJ. We'll miss you, buddy. We'll miss you, man.
Hey everyone, it's Brian Zane to recap the best of the year that was 2022. Now you might be asking yourself, why do the best of after the worst of? Well, first of all, I like to end things
leaving a high note, why not?
More positive note generally. Also, it is a stone cold fact that my best of countdowns always do way worse than my worst of. So I wanted to start the month off hot. I blame the algorithm. But that doesn't mean the good of this year is any less interesting. So without any further ado, I'm going to rank up my picks for the top 8 best things about wrestling in the year 2022. Number 8, scissoring. Wrestling's always been a breeding ground for the most popular catchphrases that would definitely get you funny looks from non-fans if they heard you. I mean, have we stopped to think about just how odd phrases like Austin 316 and Rusev Day really are? That being said, I present to you the most popular wrestling catchphrase of 2022, Scissor Me Daddy Ass. Though Usi was a strong late entry, it can't compare to the unexpected fervor that scissoring created. When the Acclaimed first showed up on AEW television, they weren't given much thought by the fans. Anthony Bowens was considered the better worker of the team, Max Caster the better speaker, but they were too inexperienced to make waves. But over time, they put in the work and improved on all fronts, becoming a breakout team in a company that also includes the Young Bucks, the Lucha Brothers, and the Best Friends. Like a lot of famous catchphrases, this one sort of came about by accident. The Acclaimed were already making scissoring references in the dark reaches of, well, dark. Then the team began working alongside Billy Gunn and his sons, Austin and Colton. With Bowens hurt and the microphone his only weapon, he played off Danhausen's insult of calling the Gunns the Ass Boys, calling Billy Daddy Ass, and combining the two elements. And just a couple months later, Scissor Me Daddy Ass took our boys to Faceville, and it became the hottest thing in AEW, with shirts, signs, and sing-along chants. Only in wrestling. Fast forward to the present day, and the Acclaimed have indeed arrived, closing out the year as tag team champs. Their success is proof that not only can just about anything get over in wrestling, but that wrestling fans have always loved chanting middle school humor ever since DX first told everyone to suck it. Oh yeah, and that Danhausen deserves some royalties. Number 7, AEW bets on its future. Since AEW's inception, its detractors have degenerated into one of two things, either a t-shirt company full of nobodies or WWE Light. But after 3 years and change, investments have begun to pay off, and now the company is beginning to form its own identity. 2022 was the year where AEW took chances on a lot of younger up-and-coming wrestlers, putting them in high-profile storylines and key victories, often over more established talent. Of course, there's the aforementioned Acclaim, probably one of the biggest success stories of the company's young history. Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia were both elevated in major ways this past year as part of the Blackpool Combat Club and the Jericho Appreciation Society, respectively, feuding over the ROH Pure Championship. There was promise with Wardlow, but his TNT title run failed to make waves. Jungle Boy killed it all last year, especially after Christian Cage and Luchasaurus betrayed him. Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs have each been impressive to watch since their team dissolved. Jade Cargill remains the unbeaten TBS champ, while Jamie Hayter has finally broken out as the AEW Women's Champion. Then there's MJF, who at the age of 26 has become one of wrestling's biggest villains with unbelievable upside on his way to becoming the AEW World Champion. Wrestling stars aren't built in a day or formed in a lab. They need to be road tested and prove themselves to often unforgiving fan bases. It's taken some time, but 2022 showed the future looks bright for the stars of AEW, and by extension it bodes well for the entire industry.
Always gotta make those stars, cause they ain't gonna last forever, you know? Which, I gotta say, you know, a Gland in the game, Jade, MJF, oof. Man, I gotta say, in the past, AEW has been known for like, oh, hey, you've been focusing too much on, you know, the former WWE guys, you're becoming like TNA. But not anymore. They're actually making their own stars. I mean, hey, just tonight, or at least, tonight, Top Flight, one of their top, like, cruiserweight teams just beat the Young Bucks. Yeah, those same Young Bucks. You'd be surprised. Anyway, who's next?
Number 6. Cody Rhodes' WWE return. When 22-year-old Cody Rhodes was first signed to WWE, a lot of expectations were placed on his shoulders.
Declared himself for the Royal Rumble.
He would leave the only wrestling home he ever knew to forge his own story on the independent scene.
Yep.
Cody was able to make
brand
some
new
powerful
legacy.
and influential friends during his journey through Outlaw territory on the way to Ring of Honor in New Japan. That alliance led to All In, the show that eventually became All Elite Wrestling. As I covered in a whole video back in August, Cody's journey in AEW was a complicated mixed bag of successes and failures, but one thing that remained consistent was Cody's commitment and dedication to his craft and to the business.
I think it said that I think Cody just overstayed the welcome a bit.
In early 2022.
It's kind of ironic considering it's his own company.
Speculation, the prodigal son came home to one of the biggest ovations of all time. Cody's return was one of many euphoric moments
in my hometown too.
In Dallas, but his show-stealing arrival and his match with Seth Rollins was far from the high point. The program with Rollins continued on to WrestleMania Backlash, then to the Hell in a Cell
with that pectoral one.
We all know what happens here. The news of Cody's pectoral tear during a workout on the day of the event spread, but perhaps more shocking than word of the injury itself was finding out that the American Nightmare would go on with the match regardless. Fans couldn't believe their eyes when Cody removed his robe to reveal that massive bruised chest, that excruciatingly painful injury that Cody somehow had the strength to perform through. You can use words like insane, foolhardy, or risky to describe his performance, but iconic is another one you can add to that list.
Yeah, no kidding.
WWE was
Dude completely tore it off and still wrestled.
3 years, but then again, based
Holy
on his pedigree,
crap.
it kind of wasn't. But smash thrown aside, the roller coaster made the most of his first 3 months back in the company and set himself up for a nice hero's welcome when he eventually returns to action. Number 5, the feuds of the year belong to AEW. When I was trying to think of the best storylines and feuds of the year across wrestling, the ones that captivated my attention the most during the build and the matches themselves, my mind kept going back to 2 in particular. When CM Punk arrived in AEW, a face-off with MJF seemed inevitable. When it came to their respective characters and promo abilities, the story sold itself on paper, but the execution was top-notch as well. These two had great wars of words throughout the weeks. MJF's tale of how Punk's WWE walkout deeply affected him as a child was some amazing work. It's not every day a wrestler can use a picture of themselves when they were a kid getting an autograph from the guy they're feuding with in order to get heat. Max would hand Punk his first loss in the company on Dynamite before the Second City Saint got his win back in a bloody and emotional dog collar match at Revolution. The feud helped further legitimize MJF as a future top star, as he was one of the few people that Punk truly elevated in his year in the company. Then there was FTR versus the Briscoes, the centerpiece of Tony Khan's brave new Ring of Honor. Though the build to each of their matches last year was stymied due to Mark and Jay being banned from AEW programming, the teams more than made up for it in the ring. Supercard of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, and Final Battle were all buoyed by the incredible performances by the foursome, giving fans arguably the best damn trilogy you could ask for in a single year. Both teams proved why they're two of the best duos of this or any era, and perhaps more than anyone else brought home the fact that tag team wrestling rules. Number 4, Jon Moxley, MVP of AEW. Have you ever worked with somebody at your job who always came through in the clutch? Somebody who would take extra shifts and fill in for people who called in sick or drive through miles of rain, snow, and sleet just to make sure the place was open at all?
That's Moxley, isn't it?
Jon Moxley is that guy. In late 2021, Moxley checked into rehab to address the substance abuse issues he'd been dealing with for much of his career. He returned to AEW last January looking lean, mean, and not a moment too soon. After a match with Bryan Danielson that led to the formation of the Blackpool Combat Club, Moxley was thrust back into the title picture in June when AEW champion CM Punk broke his foot. Mox beat Hiroshi Tanahashi at Forbidden Door and carried AEW through the summer with matches that were great, if perhaps a little extra with the blood. After all the work he'd put in, after all
he's a hardcore guy. Can't really let it go.
Build the reputation of AEW in the 3 years since his debut, it only made sense for him to get a nice, long, relaxing vacation after All Out. However, a much-anticipated unification match with Punk was hot-shotted to Dynamite after all the drama surrounding CM began to surface, with Moxley winning in seconds to the shock of everyone. Punk would win the rematch at All Out. Then the stuff happened with the people and the dog, you get the drift. Long story short, Mox's 6-week vacation lasted all of 30 minutes before he was called back to TV to win the title off Danielson at Grand Slam, a reign that was more of a setup to MJF's win than anything else. But even after that, the man is still very active on the show and on Rampage. stage. Is he ever going to get that vacation? It's unclear where Moxley's
boy.
career will take him over the next year, but maybe that's for the best, as he seems to perform best when unexpectedly walking into unknown territory. When the story is finally told, Jon Moxley will be remembered as one of AEW's undisputed legends for many reasons, particularly his ability to come through when it counts.
Though, I really hope he doesn't, like, overwork himself, because, let's be real, I think it's stuff like that that might make him rehab. Like, think about it. Hardy suffered this for years, despite the numerous, like, attempts to go clean. Like, because he was working those high, the high flying, the, death-defying stunts. I mean, here, he's working himself a lot, which I guess nowadays there aren't many vices in the locker room, but still, like, the amount of blood that has gotta be gonna be playing into him might falling off the wagon again. Like, I'm worried about the guy. Like, he is putting some great work in, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of worried about him. I just hope he doesn't, like, fall off the bandwagon, or at least to fall off the wagon. Just, that's what I'm hoping for, to be honest. Anyway.
Number 3, WrestleMania 38. They promised us it would be stupendous. The most stupendous two-night event in sports entertainment history, they said. Rolls off the tongue. But did they deliver? Maybe it's just a nostalgia talking, but I believe that WrestleMania Dallas Part 2 et 3 will go down as one of the greatest combined shows in its history. I was once hesitant of change, but hot damn, making Mania a two-night event's probably the smartest thing they've done in years. It's hard to have the energy for a big emotional main event after sitting on a stadium bench for about 10 hours.
Why stay for the weekend instead of one night?
Show into two medium-sized shows is a huge improvement.
It works.
Not only that, how about those epic returns we had on night 1? Not just Cody Rhodes, but also
Austin!
Okay, can I just say real quick how cool it was that I was there for not only his last match, but also his first match back? So cool. Looking at the combined efforts, this show had everything. Epic title showdowns, a solid undercard, celebrities outdoing many of their predecessors, and of course, two iconic nights of Steve Austin. Oh man, Vince, that stunner. I said it before in my review, and I'll say it again. WrestleMania may not have been the best wrestling show in Dallas that weekend, but it was damn sure the best sports entertainment show of the weekend, and that's okay too. It was everything you liked about WWE on display for a whole weekend, like watching the company rediscover its own original mission and purpose before your eyes. It was a huge improvement from the last time WrestleMania came to Dallas.
Selling to Saudi Arabia, the better.
The symbolism of Triple H leaving his boots in the ring and stepping into a new phase of life on what maybe Vince McMahon's last WrestleMania marked the spiritual end of the most important era of wrestling history.
Or maybe, because there's talks about him coming back.
Well, I think I just about covered everything I wanted to in that particular entry. I think I covered all the relevant points, all the juicy bits.
We're talking about the New Day
from that show.
Number
2,
never mind.
Sami Zayn. It's rare to find true blue baby faces in wrestling. People who are just so deeply cool and good and likable, you can't help but cheer them on and root for them, even if they don't want you to. Oh, they can try and cover it up as best they want. They can be a heel, they can mask it and delay the inevitable as much as possible, but at the end of the day, some wrestlers are just born to be beloved baby faces. And of those, Sami Zayn was the best of the bunch in 2022. Of course, the year didn't begin that way. At that point, Sami was still the slightly unhinged conspiracy theorist, a 3-time Intercontinental Champion who happened to pull off one of my favorite ladder match finishes of all time. He was the kind of heel you couldn't help but crack a laugh or smile over his antics, a great comic foil for the more serious babyfaces to trounce. Those comic stylings were put to the test during his feud with Johnny Knoxville early in the year that led to arguably the best match of either night of Mania. That Anything Goes match was brilliant, a masterpiece in comedy wrestling, which is all the more impressive considering Knoxville was untrained. Sami has repeatedly stated that this is the match of his career,
been through like death-defying stunts.
Really saying a
Makes
lot.
sense.
And how can you argue with that? Sami took the loss, but he was still very much a winner in the big picture. He would soon cross paths with Brock Lesnar in humorous fashion, which really turned things up a notch. Let's get this out of the way. If it were not for Sami's involvement in the group today, the Bloodline would be a miserable experience right now. The kind of joylessness not unlike that of being trapped on a cruise ship riddled with diarrhea. area. Roman Reigns' dominance was fun for a little while, but some would say the novelty of the Tribal Chief wore out its welcome about 2 seconds after Reigns unified the WWE and Universal titles.
Yeah,
With the company either unwilling
Jesus
or unable to
Christ.
produce a serious, credible challenger to the belts every month, what's even the point? But like I said, thank God Sammy's in the bloodline. In a turn I would most closely compare to Mick Foley's in 1998, Sammy spent the years slowly building his way up the bloodline ladder, gathering favor
he's gotten
at the head
like
of the
a
table,
lot of the
fighting
bloodline to
gain the
crack a
trust of
smile
everyone
too.
on the team, all the way to becoming an honorary Uce. Though he is on the bad guys team, Sammy's charm is infectious and spreads to the other members of the group to honestly amazing results. Watching these big tough wrestlers repeatedly break on camera is always fun to see. But through all that, you see just how hard Sammy and everyone else is working to gather maximum sympathy and audience connection for him as an outsider
hey, I'm
fighting
pretty
for
sure
acceptance,
sooner or later,
but perhaps
thanks to
an
Sammy,
underlying
they're-
desire to
the
break
bloodline's
free.
about to go face,
At the time
I
I'm
swear.
doing this video, Sammy's story in the bloodline is not over yet, but I predict it's going to end one of two ways, either in amazing cathartic joy or soul-crushing heartbreak. Or I guess it could just be kind of meh. I mean,
Who knows?
that is a possibility. But no matter where the cards fall, Sami Zayn is an incredible performer who took fans on a huge ride throughout all of last year. Roman Reigns might be the unstoppable champion, but in my opinion, 2022 was the year of
Sammy.
Zayn. Oh
Or the
crap,
others.
now I can't use that for me. And my pick for the #1 best thing in wrestling in 2022 is Vince McMahon steps down from WWE. I've had a lot of people ask me why the Vince McMahon hush money scandal wasn't on my list of the worst of wrestling in 2022 or why it wasn't #1. It's a fair question. A lot of people said that it was a black eye on WWE and professional wrestling. No, it was a black eye for Vince McMahon. This story confirmed a lot of the suspicions people had about him for decades. Considering all the bullets he's dodged, it was not going to be a matter of if, but when. But, okay, let's just talk for a minute about why it was bad. Vince paying millions of dollars to women he either slept with or sexually assaulted over the years is truly gross. Old Johnny Ace being involved in the mess is also reprehensible. Their actions were a huge overreach of their authority, and even if you believe the company's stance that at least one of Vince's relationships was consensual, it doesn't wipe away the fact that there was a huge abuse of the power dynamic between boss and employee. And what made it even worse was Vince's response, if you want to call it that. The week that first Wall Street Journal report hit the fan, Vince, Mr. McMahon showed up, said hi, then left, then did it again the next week. And then he pushed Titus O'Neil out in front of everyone to say that WWE was a safe space. It was the ultimate act of petulant defiance, a figurative dick-swinging move that even Ric Flair would have been taken aback by after he was finished recovering from almost dying in his final match. It goes well beyond the scope of worst of wrestling. It was just bad optics all across the board. But much like Sweet Icarus, old Vinnie Mac flew too close to the sun in this analogy being taunting my accusers. All the victory laps in the world couldn't deflect from the other accusations that kept coming in after that first report before he finally stepped down, then stepped down for real. And if that's what it was going to take for his old ass to leave, then so be it. Well, what an interesting few weeks it's been in the year 2023. Vince McMahon came back literally the day I filmed this countdown you're watching, showing apparently no signs of apologizing for what got him in trouble in the first place. Stephanie McMahon has resigned from the company. Rumors of a sale are swirling. There was talks about, the Saudis are going to buy WWE, and then that was kind of debunked, but it might still happen. And God knows what else is going to happen between when I'm filming this bit and when the video actually goes live. For as long as I've been a fan of wrestling, most of the bad and dumb stuff I've witnessed in it has been caused by one guy when you get down to it. Whether it was for his creative choices, his business practices, his personal failings, or just for the way he sold that stunner in Dallas, lots of people had wanted Vince gone from WWE for years. And when he finally did leave, at least Vince's victims could feel some relief knowing he was no longer in a position of power over other vulnerable people. Fans could breathe easy knowing he wasn't the one making the creative decisions anymore. But now it's all messed up. Vince McMahon got tired of civilian life and bullied his way back into being chairman of the board after said board unanimously rejected his plan. Someone's got a hard time with the word no. Vince McMahon's legacy as a boundary-smashing, pro-wrestling kingpin turned sports entertainment billionaire is genuinely one of America's great success stories in business. He's influenced the wrestling industry in ways that can't be quantified, both good and bad. If you're a wrestling fan in North America under the age of 40, it's very likely your entire worldview of what wrestling is, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it's filmed like, is a result of Vince McMahon's vision. But the business has been forced to take the bad with the good for nearly his entire run. He's a marketing wizard, a huckster, a creative genius, a thief, an all-time persona, a carnival barker, a scam artist, a father figure, a smut peddler, innovative, ruthless, underappreciated, and at the end of the day, a creepy old man who paid the women he employed to stay silent. And now the reason everything's happening in 2023 as it is because Vince is upset he was kind of made accountable for his actions? What healthy behavior. Even if you disagree with how Vince was originally ousted, from a creative standpoint, Vince should have been gone 15 fucking years ago. Nothing changes if nothing changes. I have said many times on this channel that wrestling never moves backward, but it also can't move forward if the guy in charge of the place has been doing this job for 40 years. So when Vince skedaddled for the first time in a long time, I felt like there was this elevated sense of hope, optimism, excitement over the future of WWE. I saw the fan base band together with anticipation as to how things might be different with Triple H as the head honcho. Though the last 5 months haven't exactly been a night and day transition from the Vince McMahon era, we can still see a lot of things being undone. Some wrongs being made right. It's resulted in a lot of formerly cut talent coming back, character tweaks, new characters introduced. We saw a fun viral campaign leading to the memorable return of Bray Wyatt, the debut of War Games on pay-per-view, promos and storylines in general improved, and well, it was a fun ride while it lasted, I guess. Yes, Vince has stated that he has no plans of re-entering the creative world of the company, but why would you take that comment at face value when he has a rich history of lying? Based on recent events, 2023 is already shaping up to be a shit show, but I walked away from 2022 feeling pretty good about the state of affairs in pro wrestling. It really felt like things are going to be different, maybe even be better. So the power of hindsight be damned, I stand by my original statement. Vince McMahon stepping down was the best thing about wrestling in 2022. It's just too bad it couldn't last forever. Cancel culture is a myth, y'all. Thanks for watching this.
Yeah, let's be real. Jesus, Vince, like, do not... Jeez, I swear that guy's senile. I mean, I swear, this rate, it's not going to change until he dies. Like, this rate, Punk's right. It's not going to change until he's in a coffin. Jesus, dude, like, seriously, sell him to Sadia, or at least, presumably, and, yeah, let's be real. The fact the board was, like, brought him back, like, despite all of this, like... Seriously? Oh, Lord. Like, jeez. Sooner or later, it's gonna take someone just or something like that, right? I don't know. Jesus, that dude. Like, yeah, I'll be real. When I heard of it, like, damn it, why? Just when I had hope of going back to WWE. Nope. Like, I'm not gonna support a company that only hires back a guy that paid people hush money. Like, no. Like, seriously. God. Anyway, I hope you enjoy that one, but heck of a downer. Anyway, until next time, guys, thanks for watching. See ya.